You guys have been such a source for encouragement and motivation over the past little while. It's incredible. So thank you so much. Just the compliments telling me that, you know, the content I make is part of your day to day and that you love my takes and you love my opinions. That really means a lot to me, but I have to make a confession. I get a little bit of help. It might go without saying, but I listen to a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of my peers on this platform, you know, individuals who I respect, who I think put out good stuff, who have good takes as well. And I try to like amalgamate that into like one ball of information and news for you guys. So when you're watching Whiskey and you're saying, you know, you like the stuff that I'm putting out, well, you're really saying, you know, you like what Hockey Junkie thinks and Arpon, Basu, Sean Starr, Marco D'Amico, you know, insiders, individuals who create content. You're saying that you like what they're putting out as well. But, and I can't stress this enough, I form my opinions largely by listening to them and deciding whose take I like the best. But I always put my little spin on it, and I like to think I'm pretty introspective. It is for that reason, and everybody's talked about it in one way or another, that I would like today to talk about Mike Matheson. Let's talk about it.
And now Matheson is going to stand up for Barron and take on Trouba, who's a tough customer.
So this is a conversation. It happens a lot, but it's usually like a sidebar. Oh, Mike Matheson last night, he turned the puck over in the defensive zone and Colorado had extra zone time and they eventually put the puck in the net. Why didn't he just exit the zone with the puck? How come he has to skate around with it so much? So on and so forth. But then when it comes down to talking about whether or not this guy needs to get another contract with Montreal, nobody wants to look at the good stuff. Nobody wants to look at all of the great stats that he puts up, considering he usually spends a lot of time on the ice. And I think what touched a nerve today was I was watching TSN 690 with Sean Campbell and Lucas Scott.
With Mike Matheson entering his final year of his contract at $4.875 million. Would you extend Mike Matheson?
And these guys, they usually have really good takes, but I usually find that we find a fork in the road and we usually differ in our takes just a little bit. I don't know, every single time it seems. But I still value what they say and I value the conversations that they start. That being said, the segment today, I think Sean was right on the money. Luca, I kind of worry where your head's at, brother. But before I break it all down and try to add something to this conversation, maybe change some people's minds, I got to thank you guys. 15,000 subscribers. That's incredible. We're growing at a pace that a lot of the individuals who I look up to that I started this channel because of, we're like blowing them away in terms of growth. So I can't thank you enough. And if you're not already subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We are going to have a fantastic season. I'm going to recap every single game and we're going to talk hockey. If you're already subscribed, don't worry about it. Hit that like button. Let's try to beat last video's, like, I don't know, what was it, 600? All right, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about Mike Matheson. Let's talk about where he is in his career. First of all, he's 31 years old. He's not at the tail end of his career or anything like that. Although I think that some of the community look at him and they think that he's not in the Habs time frame, which is wrong. He's not going to be there as long as some of the staples, but a new contract could put him in Montreal for a long time where he could be an important piece and thrive. And with that frame of mind and what a lot of individuals do at this stage of their career is they kind of look for term, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Mike Matheson is a hometown guy. He probably values stability more than a lot of individuals who produce and provide the value that Mike Matheson does. And to say that he hasn't earned that in Montreal, it's just not true. He's coming off some of the best years of his career. He can handle heavy minutes. He's proven to be a quarterback on the power play. And he plays a two-way style that obviously comes under some criticism, but he does it better than 4, maybe 5 individuals on the defensive lines. Point of all that is he's not slowing down. And if he did get term, he would provide Montreal that veteran presence on the team, on a team that is still transitioning into a team that can find themselves in playoff positions. Let's roll into something else that I kind of touched on in last video, the logjam. So I get it. I get those individuals who are saying there's a lot of young defensemen in the system who could potentially come up and do what Mike Matheson is doing. Not to mention, there are individuals currently in the lineup that you can argue do what Matheson does, but are still earning their pedigree. Watching in the wings is David Reinbacher, Adam Engström, but call me crazy, Jaden Struble and Arber Xhekaj are never going to be what Matheson is. And here's the reality. Not all of these guys are ever going to reach their potential. And with the exception of Reinbacher, I don't think any of them are ready to carry top 4 roles in the next year or two. And my concern is looking at guys like Arber Xhekaj and Jaden Struble. I love their game. I love Jaden Struble's development. I think that he could be a guy in the NHL for a long time. And I like the unique skills that Arber Xhekaj brings to the team, but I worry about his discipline and some of his other qualities. I'm staying away from saying that it's his compete level, but he needs to win more board battles and he needs to make better puck choices. So when you look at the pipeline, you think that they could get leapfrogged, right? So having a veteran like Mike Matheson in the lineup, that's just insurance. He bridges the gap between the present and the future, and that's important for a young locker room. So that might be controversial. That's even controversial to me because I do have some interesting opinions about Xhekaj and Struble's future that I might focus on in a different video. There's ways out of where they've gotten to, but this next segment might be even more controversial. We'll see. I want to talk about Mathesons Value compared to league comparables. So let's get into the numbers. And this is where I think the signing really makes sense. We're seeing suggested numbers around 5 million or 5.5 million, even considering that the cap is going up. And if those numbers are really accurate, that's way off from comparables in the league.
Probably a $5 million defenseman, maybe 5 and change. I don't think you're asking anything like 7 or 8 million, and I don't think you're going to get anything like 3 million.
Mike Matheson's current contract, I consider a value contract even for when it was signed. Whether people want to admit it or not, he's putting up numbers every season that are comparable to some of the top defensemen in the league, and some of those guys are getting paid. Think about it. Look at Victor Hedman. He's a superstar, right? Captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning. But if you adjust for the time on the ice and offensive metrics, they're comparable. His numbers stack up surprisingly well to a much older guy who plays less minutes and just signed a contract for $8 million. Let's throw some more names into the mix. Devin Toews, Vince Dunn, Brady Shea, all first pairing guys who are in similar roles to Matheson on stronger offensive teams. They're all making north of $6 million, 7, 8 million. So how could you say no to 5 or 5.5 million for Matheson? Imagine Montreal being buyers come playoff time. Who are they going to be looking for on defense if they trade away Matheson? They're going to be looking for another player like Matheson. I just think there's a lot of bias when I admit it, I do it myself, are critical of Mike Matheson. It really doesn't help that he'll cough the puck up in the offensive zone. And sometimes at the blue line, he'll cough it up as well, sending his opponent on a breakaway the other way. He shows his butt a lot. Like he shows his 2 cheeks to everyone in the audience. And I think that's painful, but it happens. It happens to the best of them. It happens to Cale Makar. It happens to Quinn Hughes. He'll also take shots from the point that goes off the shin pads, leaves the zone, and ruins opportunities. But that's fine. Maybe don't put him in those situations. Maybe don't put him on power play 2 anymore. I'm sure he wouldn't like that. But with Lane Hutson, Noah Dobson, the defensive pairings, they're elevating the offensive side of the team so much that the fundamental way that Montreal is going to play going forward, it's going to be different. Anyway, I'm getting off topic a little bit. Just to sum things up, Matheson is still in his prime, and I think he deserves some security on the team if he's willing to take a contract at a value price. Montreal has a ton of prospects, but they need a veteran presence on the team. And the way that the team is growing, I worry about the future of some of those prospects and how they develop. Finally, the contract is just flat out great value, and when you compare it to similar defensemen in the league. I know you're not all going to agree. I see all of you commenting, telling me that I should send Mike Matheson into the sun. And I commiserate with you who think that way because I'm yelling at my TV often watching these games. And often it is Mike Matheson and Patrik Laine who I am yelling at. That doesn't mean that they don't provide value to the team. And maybe we have to talk about Patrik Laine and what kind of contract he should accept depending on how he does this next season.
Ready?
Yeah.
You excited?
Yeah.
You're going to do the fastest lap? You're going to go super fast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again so much for your support. And yeah, you guys know what to do. Hit the like button down in below the video there. It does something for video, I think. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I would love to have you as part of this community. And as always, I will see you down in the comments.